strikes again. Kevy, he's done it one more time.
The Chaos Storm! Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam! But in a three-man Moonfall, it's just lights out for Direwolves, just like that.
The showstopper. Look at the backline. It's getting melted.
Something right now, Sonic Wave is there, it's getting lower and lower. Oh! They've stolen it! Mammoth have got the Baron! It's gonna fall on down, it's just too much damage! Rest in peace!
Roses are red, violets are blue. Thank God you're here because the LCO loves you! And Mac loves you too. Now, thank you for coming. It's week 4. We're getting right into the deep end of things now. Of course, the first round, it's going to end. And not only that, it's Valentine's Day. It's going to be a fun day. And it's also the start of the very first Super Week here for the LCO. Now, that means we got 3 big days of games, rather. So let's look back at what happened last Tuesday before we jump on into this bloody monster.
Shredded. The blast one is burnt. Can make
On
sure of
TV
it.
at 2K.
Going for this one, can Foreigner find a way in towards his Baron Pit. The Moonlight Vigil goes out nicely there for the call of the Forge God as well. 2 kills already found here by Peace. Both the carries online. There's a double now here for Appy. There's a double also for Chayan. Gonna fall on down in the end to Zoe. And they're gonna try and disengage away. But look at Linus' positioning. He's separated from his Lulu. He needs his Childminder. Where's the protection? Chungy gonna die as well. It's a double kill for Voice. The Jinx is getting excited. There's a triple kill. A kill found from Chungy from the
No, but they
afterlife.
can't kill Liv.
And
They
it's a
can't.
shutdown. Lived. Oh no. Oh no.
The bomb. That was
Oh,
so
no.
close.
And look at that. It actually does get procced.
They're gonna look again.
So now gonna look again. Dominus goes on through, but this time Dragon's there to back him up. Vision goes to try and knock him all up. It is going to be the Rex that dies first of all. Praetor is dead. That's huge. Kiss in the flank. The Drake does get picked up here from the side of Order. They've got the Soul Point exploding into life. A triple kill from the Aphelios. A quadra kill in
He
fact.
stole it.
A damn fun day of games. A couple of upsets in the mix, but of course, someone that isn't upset is these 2 fellas. Let's bring them back. Rusty, you of course were gone over last Tuesday. Now, Skimmy, how are you feeling? You're looking pretty beautiful, pretty ready to go
Yes.
down to have for dinner with the boys?
Yeah, no, I was going to actually tone down my response to this one. I had something really, Valentine's ready, but, maybe I was just going to be like, Daddy, here we are, the parents. I'm locked in place. You've got the shirts on. I don't wear shirts. I flame Twitch chat for it because they hate me for it, but who cares? I've just turned 18. I'm full of energy. Life is
Yes, you
fantastic. And I'm keen to commentate, Mac.
Did you give him red cordial, Mac?
I didn't order it. No, I think I gave him a fire engine, so there's probably a bit more sugar in that. Now, Rusty, how are you feeling? You feeling better now?
I'm not 100% if I'm going to be brutally honest, but we're good enough to cast, and I think that's what matters, right? It's a super week, so I'm not going to leave Kitty here for 3 whole days of casting because it's a lot. So definitely back for day 1 and ready to kick it off again.
Well, look, threw her in the deep end. She did a damn good job of swimming. But of course, let's have a quick look at the standings. We're here to talk about the teams. And the teams are looking at pretty much separate at the moment, except, of course, for the Tide in 3rd place. You've got Pentanet, Mammoth, and Order all there. And then down in 7th, you've got Gravitas and Kanga. Of course, Peace needs to be stated. They are undefeated. And Rusty, I know you were watching that game from the sidelines. So do you want to say your piece? Because you didn't get to last week.
I mean, for Peace, it has been almost business as usual with a lot of these games now, right? We're starting to see a pretty clear identity from what to expect from them, and their last win, I think it was against Gravitas, it wasn't really a case of them being threatened at all, right? Now they just get to reign supreme at the top of the table, and everyone else has to chase them up, and Chiefs are the only team that I think that has had enough consistency to have a shot at that right now. PGG may say they're 3rd, Mac, but are they? Because sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not good.
That's a pretty good sentiment, pretty good statement there. Now, of course, we do have the last day of games for round 1, so let's have a look at who still needs to face off against one another. Kicking things off here at 6 p.m, we got Kanga up against Peace. This one looking like it should be pretty one-sided unless Kanga pull something out of the hat. Now, Chiefs and Direwolves looking to go head-to-head. Direwolves looking a bit better last week than what they had been, but Chiefs, of course, looking almost unstoppable for the most part. 8 p.m, Order and Mammoth are both, of course, tied on 3 wins, 3 Ls. But are they tied? I guess we'll figure out at 8 p.m. And at 9 p.m, of course, we've got Gravitas up against Pensnet, who is that other 3-win, 3-loss team. Gravitas, of course, getting their first win on the board last week and looking to maybe find a second, although I'm not too sure how easy that's going to be up against Pentanet, Skimmy.
Yes, good question, right? Pentanet certainly, as Rusty say, had their moments, and sometimes it looks absolutely wonderful. Other times you're a little bit scratching your heads. I feel like after today, you're really hoping that the close of round robin 1 means that, yeah, we actually do see some very definitive standings. You know, there's no ties in the 7th, there's no ties in the 3rd. I think for me, all eyes go to that 3rd match, Order versus Mammoth. Mammoth, that team that we were, you know, rating a little bit low coming into this one, but have certainly showcased that they deserve to be up there with the best. And, you know, this is another good form check, right? How good are they into a team like Order?
That's the real question, I guess. Anything there, Rusty, you want to talk about in terms of the games today? Do you have a spicy pick?
I don't necessarily think my spicy picks come from the games today, Mac. It's more so the week as a whole, right? Because it is the first Super Week, so there's going to be a couple of interesting weeks for some teams. Kanga, the one that stands out for me more than anything else, they probably have the hardest Super Week coming into this one, where a lot of our top 3 teams actually have 1 big game and 2 easier games in context, so maybe easier to prepare for if you're the bigger teams right now.
Well, something they had to prepare for coming into this week, of course, is a new patch, new week, new patch, new changes. You guys love them, and you want to talk about some of the champions in particular. So, Skimmy, any ones you want to highlight before Rusty takes over and dives deep into the stats, into the numbers?
Oh, for sure. I know he loves, you know, talking about all those number crunching. So I won't take too much of his time away. Obviously, the big one for me has to be the Corky change to the package. It looked like a foregone conclusion. The package gets picked up. Every objective, it just belongs to you. A lot of the teams that are saying we're not really willing to contest on that one. So that getting a bit of a nerf to the cooldown. Going to take a little bit longer. Should be a little bit easier now for teams that are going up against the Corky to contest. Another big one, obviously, that a lot of people are going to be excited for is 12.3. Brings that big change to Ari, and we've seen a handful of teams globally playing that now.
Of course, Rusty. You are the man with the numbers. You're the man with the opinions. Please, spill them upon us.
Caitlyn's still good. Corky's still good. They just nerfed the package timing. Senna's still good, but not in AD carry anymore. Zeri's still broken. Janna, I still think good. Twisted Fate, the changes are irrelevant. LeBlanc doesn't make a difference. Akshan, I think, actually gets smashed for competitive from his changes because they were for average play. And any average nerf just ruins competitive. And Amumu, I think, just got changed so that Zeri doesn't get hard counted. So that's all the nerfs. Buffed, I think Lily is just a fine buff. I actually like both changes to her, and the same thing with Quinn. The question that I have with both of these picks is, when do you pick them, right? So I think they are just like 1% improvements on when they were viable in the first place, if that makes sense. Doesn't push them up to meta as such. And then for the adjusted picks, Ari's the one that I would spend most of my time talking about, but the short of it is she'll probably be seen this week. Because I think the Ari changes have made her incredibly viable because they removed all of the play away from hitting a charm. Before, if you hit a charm, you were a relevant champion. Now you don't need to hit the charm to still be relevant, and you have those resets. So I think Ari is just like meta Katarina for competitive.
I heard she is potentially going to get played by a couple of those mid players, but I guess we'll see if they let it through or not. However, we've got to talk about the items as well. It's not just about the champ changes. A couple of big nerfs, a couple of big changes have come through with these mythics in particular, Skimmy.
Yeah, as you can see, a bit of a baseline across the board now. Those 2 Sheen items in Divine Sundra as well as the Trinity Force, both going to share the same amount of health. So it's going to feel quite nice there for the Trinity Force. A little bit less attack damage, but should certainly see a bit more consideration. I'm looking at you, Ezreal, which pretty much plays any mythic under the sun. Gore Drink obviously going to feel a lot nicer too. A bit of a difference in terms of extra attack damage, but across the board, yeah, these mythic items have seen a fair bit of change. So it really does feel like 12.3 is the patch of the fighters, the bruisers, the brawlers.
Oh, without a doubt. And the thing here as well is, for any champion that isn't reliant on health, they get so much from this, right? So like Renekton has his ultimate, he gets extra health. Doesn't necessarily need that extra 150 like it's some kind of crucial game-breaking difference. But 10 extra AD could change how easy it is for him to clear waves or for him to have all-in threat at different windows. And so these changes for bruiser fighters, for juggernauts in particular, I think that's the name of the whole class for them, that want AD, not just health and tankiness, they've benefited so much from this patch. And it's not just Gore Drinker, right? There's so many different things that have changed. But 10 extra AD on Gore Drinker, huge. The altered build path as well, having CDR in it instead of the Phage, I think it was, is huge. Like, there's there's so many different things here, and the first champion that will always come to my mind is Riven. I think Riven actually just loves everything, and the actual other ones that I don't know if we'll see in competitive, but I think really benefited from this, at least in solo queue, is Assassins. So Talon, you know, builds Gore Drinker. It's disgusting, but now he's got 10 extra AD from it. So what's to stop him from just building it more often? So a lot of Assassin champions actually really like that champion.
So what you're telling me is we might finally get to see a bit of Riven in that top lane from the big man Tian. Of course, it's not just those items. We got a couple of normal items that are the fighter items. No mythics here, Skimmy.
Yeah, no, not at all. These are quite nice, and I think a big reason why we should see a lot more competition on the top side, right? A little bit of a deviation, you'd hope, away from the blind picks of those tanks and more into the skill expression. Death Stance, as you can see there, now stores all damage, so it doesn't matter if it was just AD as before. All damage in general is going to feel like a really nice item, especially if you want to try and be that heavy brawler style. Take those trades and be rewarded quite handsomely for it. It's still going to affect at a reduced rate the ranged champion, so it doesn't feel a little bit too broken, like we saw in previous metas and seasons go by. Sterix Gauge, a fairly substantial nerf in that regard. Now you're gaining bonus off your base AD, so you're looking at a lot of those champions which have high AD stats in the beginning, things like Ilaoi, for example, same for the Gnar, Aatrox, a few other champions that spring to mind there. It's going to feel a little bit rough in this one. I feel like the breakpoint that me and Rusty were talking around is similarly level 13 to 14, so you're probably, itemization-wise now, not going to be going that as a second item, probably third, most likely fourth now. But the biggest one for me that I really like is the More Mordius. We've already seen a lot of it played in the mid lane, especially from Corki rushing the Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
Now you get that extra passive, which is the Omni Vamp, which remains until the end of combat. So if you are going for those trades, if you are relying on that shield and that mitigation, then you can get a lot of extra worth out of it.
I'm sure that we are going to potentially see some of that more coming through, but something I want to see more of course, is the Turbo Chem Tank. Now, I love this item. I use it all the damn time because, of course, you all know I'm a Rammus main. I've never played another champion in this game. And Rusty, you were telling me you don't like these changes.
So actually, that's not exactly what I said. I like what they did in certain ways with this. So realistically, jungle champions that still build Turbo Chem Tank are still turbo broken, and that's why I don't like this change that much.
Okay.
Because I actually think that Hecarim probably shouldn't have free access to this type of thing. Rammus is very good with it, of course, as well. And so those champions are still in a very comfortable position, if not better, because it's damage taken. So the tanky ones love it even more. This is a change that's been made more so for like the laning, like Akali's, right? That are trying to navigate playing a tank as an assassin, looking at all the Gore Drinker builders that are ADs in mid doing a similar thing. It's still being picked. It's not 100% pickable all the time, I don't think, anymore, and there's definitely been a couple more. I think there was AP Akali's, just like generic Akali builds running around, but it's a good change, it's just not enough to get rid of Akali's from building it.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't get to see a lot of success with it, here in the LCO at least. I think internationally it was a bit more successful. But speaking of success, we've got a stat check coming through, having a look at all the top players in a few different categories here. Skimmy, these are your 4 favourite players, aren't they?
Yeah, for good reason as well, because they just excel at everything you throw at them, right? All for good reasons. Rank 1 in the KDA, the kill participation, the gold difference at 15, as well as the damage per minute. What I found really interesting for the KDA was that Chan's at number 1, Beats' his support is at number 2, and that bot lane, you'd argue right now, is the best bot lane in the league by a fair margin. Cheon, also the only one that's got a pentakill and did it up against the Chiefs, so a fairly high benchmark that he set for himself so far. Kill participation-wise, it hasn't changed too much from last week. Balkan still remains the go-to for the active aggression. We've seen that reflected in how he plays the map. He plays that very heavy solo queue style, big reliance on the J4 for a time. Level 3 ganks, double buffs, how you going, and snowballing out of control as a result after that one. I think only himself, literally, is the only one up there in a sort of high kill participation of 80%. And there's a few 80 carries in there as well, which I found quite interesting, but for the most part, that should be a stat dominated by junglers and supports. For Raze, yeah, the gold difference, a huge difference across what second and third look like in comparison, but the top 2 were the Chiefs. We have seen this reflected in how Tapoon plays for the Heralds, plays for the plates, and pushes as a result. We have seen him also go the inverse and say, we'll flip the map, and if Raze on a champion like the Zeri, like the Aphelios, which can shred those turrets down, then they'll just leave him bot side and not answer to that call. And finally, damage per minute, Yuri, a couple of games on the Corki, definitely going to make his stats look a lot prettier, but the top 2 in DPS were himself and Pradif, which I found interesting. So I suppose from both their ends, they are incredibly aggressive, much like Balkan 2. And it seems like the mantra of this team. We're going in, we're finding kills. It might work, it might not, but at the end of the day, it's going to be very entertaining to watch.
Just chasing down the fun, chasing down the fights. Sounds like Pradith, indeed. Now, Yuri as well. Keen to see what he's going to be capable of going into this game, because I feel like, you know, today they may just have a field day, Rusty.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible that today is going to be a pretty good day for them. Mac, just looking at their strength of schedule, 100%. A couple of teams, I think, might have a similar conversation we had.
Very true. Well, we'll have those conversations when we get there. But for now, you know, you guys, we love you. I told you at the start of the show. And we love it when you send us questions about great things from the fans. You know, at LCO, hashtag LCO. Ask all your questions. I believe there's a post up. Tell us, what would your ideal date be? Now, fortunately, we already have a few of those sent in, so I'm ready to see exactly what our LCO fans have as their ideal date. Corby, dinner, beach, open fire, radio music, sound of waves, home for a late night, GG. Would you say GG afterwards, though,
Yeah,
or would you
gotta
say goodbye?
GG at the end, right?
Because I think it's fine up until the actual GG part. Then I'd say, well, mate, that's a little weird. I get you, but
it's a gamer at heart, isn't it? Corby's a gamer at heart. You know, he turns off the lens for 2 seconds and says, you know, we're holding hands, we're walking down the beach, the sun's coming down, it's beautiful. You know, we're clinking our glasses for the wine. Fantastic. But I got to go home. It's time for the solitude.
Skivvy sits down at his open fire and says, this thing is overpowered, no?
Yeah. The lingo is there. He's just spamming Keck W, and she's just like, oh, it was so good for so long.
Turbo broken date angle, though. Also, Corby is an extremely handsome man, so as long as he's there, I'm sure it's successful.
Well, there you have it. So compliments going everywhere. And Corby, thank you for that submission. I believe we do have one more to have a look at as well. Who is it? It's JB. Pyrolimo. Dressed to the nines. Take them to Bunnings for a snag and a can of Fanta. You had me until you said Fanta. I got to admit, not a huge fizzy orange fan, but I'm sure there might be out there, Skippy.
Yeah, they really did have us in the first half there. Hey, I mean, tell you what, it's an inside joke. If you showed that to an international audience, they would just be so confused. Why are you going to Bunnings? What's this about the snag? And, you know, why is this the place to be? I tell you what, I'd love to see an amateur team at one stage just be called Bunnings Warehouse. Get it going, get the aprons on, get sponsored. Let's make it happen.
Maybe
Surely.
one day we'll make that happen. I'm sure I could, you know, pull off looking like a tradie for a day. Either way, of course, we've got to start talking about the game. But if you guys did have some, you know, date ideas that could top that, please send them in. Make sure you're at LCO, hashtag LCO, and we'll put them up on screen after the games because we want to know exactly what kind of date you want to go on. Now, let's talk game. Let's talk brass tacks, meat, whatever you want to call it. We got Kanga, we got Peace. Let's talk Kanga first because we love roux meat and we love kangaroos here in Australia. So that means we probably love Kanga too, right, Skimmy?
We do. We've been really like hyping them up because we want to see them bounce back right now. You know, currently 1-5, not the place we imagined them to be. We knew it was going to be a tough ask with how strong the region is this year, but certainly by their own standards and their own emissions, I'm sure they can't be too happy with things so far. In terms of stylistically, the majority of the damage actually comes from this man on your screen right now in Lift. He's played a lot of these champions that wants to try and pop off. Sometimes he's fallen down in the 1v1 in lane. Other times he's had to fill a role of being, you know, the sole engage. But when you give him an inch, and I think we saw glimpses of it in this game in particular, plays the Gwen. Yes, he's trying to abuse Tron the Pom in that 1v1, but he didn't receive a big emphasis or priority from Only to try and dive them multiple times to make it a 2v1. I would like to see that trend continue because I feel like the top half of their team right now is the main focus, the main area that's excelling. The stats are positive in their regards.
Yeah.
So yeah, just double down on it and try and you know, carry that ship forward.
I think that is definitely something they could try and do because they do need a couple more wins on the board. So they might be able to find it in games this week. I don't know about this one though, Rusty, because we have Peace to have a chat about as well. And Peace are undefeated. Coming into the split, of course, there was a lot of doubt surrounding this lineup, but they have looked absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, I think everybody had a fair reservation, right, for what Peace were going to be able to provide coming into the split. We knew they had good players, and we knew the potential of this team would be high, but placing them against the upper echelon, it was hard to actually put them ahead, but here we are, right? Peace have been absolutely dominant. Their last game we saw them play was against Gravitas. It was a fairly skirmish-heavy game. I have memories of Lisa just going crazy down in bot lane, but they also had TN playing Gwen into the Ornn, and this is a big deal for me. And we'll talk about this more when Gravitas play later today, but the Ornn's getting punished. Peace have proven that good teams can still punish a blind pick weak side top laner, and I think that's really important for this game, right? Because TN plays the carries, and as Skimmy said, there's kind of an expectation for Liv to carry. So this is the hardest matchup, you would say, for Kanga on paper.
Yeah, and look, Lived had a rough game last week. You know, in the interview that I did get to speak with him, he said that he was going to gap, like, colossally. And unfortunately, it didn't go as expected for him. I really wish it did, because I was waiting for Liv to have that pop-off game, you know, live up to the hype, live up to the talk. It didn't happen. And I want him to have a great game today, just to sort of, you know, make up for last week. But up against TN is just such a big ask, Skimmy.
It is. And you already mentioned, you know, some of the changes in terms of these items that we're looking forward to. And I feel like, you know, Lived and Tien are right up at the very top of the table of being the kind of players that are going to want to play those kind of champions, right? Tien on one side is going to be the keenness to go for the likes of a Riven. That is one of his signature picks. Whereas the side of Lived, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, you know, pop out a Fiora, lock in a Jax. There's anything to try and show a bit of skill expression. So if there was ever a chance for them to get the counter pick, a little bit more priority in the draft in their way, like this is one of those patches that could be the turning of a brand new page.
Now look, you've heard our piece here. Fortunately, we have a beautiful bit of content. Now we can hear from the players too.
Weakest part is like the bot lane because there's new ADC and road swap support. But I think the top side of the map is like pretty insane.
Well, I'm definitely impressed with the Peace roster. I didn't think they'd be doing as well as they are. I'm a bit scared of Thean, honestly. He's probably one of the few scary top laners. He will definitely like hard pressure you.
We have been through Chiefs, we have been through PG. None of them could beat us. And we don't think we're lucky. And we're here to prove that we can be the best team.
I think the jungler have really high KP in the game. Early is definitely a really experienced and strong player. We need to be careful on him in the jungle.
Winning against Peace would definitely be a major confidence boost to us, and I think it would show the teams what we can actually do. We haven't shown what we're actually capable of yet.
I know you guys not having a good time on the Rift, but next week, I hope you guys are expecting another 0-3 weeks starting from us.
It's going to be an ultimate top gap. It's going to be bot gap, going to be mid gap, going to be jungle gap too. There's dead no chance. We've already won. We're going to thrash him. Oh, that's not...
I wish I could do that right now, but I don't want to punch the camera. I'll probably annoy someone. Now, good to see that Lived again. He's bringing the goods in the interviews, in the content, and hopefully he does have a good time up against Thean. Although I don't think he's going to be able to use these puppies to make it happen. He's going to have to do his talking on in the Rift. Now, having a look at the stats for both these players head to head, it's looking dangerous. I'm seeing bigger numbers for the most part over on the right side. Even just like the KD, damage to objectives, Ian just seems to be winning lane over and over and over, Rusty.
Yeah, Tian's going to have very nice stats, and you know the one thing that goes the way of Lived is actually just kill participation, which makes sense in their one victory. It was heavily towards top side. But even, you know, average damage to objectives, Peace is 6 and 0, so they're going to be hitting more objectives. So we want to give some caveats to these stats and what they really mean. The big thing, I think, above all else, is the champions that they're going to be playing today. So, you know, stats aside, if Lived wants a top gap, which I think we can all agree needs to happen if they want to win, he can't play Ornn and blind pick it. Right, he has to be a carry, or he has to be a tank with a carry jungler that just plays to him constantly, which always feels backwards and feels a little bit wrong. So lots to do if you were Kanga's side to make something happen, to match the measure of the man that is Tien. Because if you just concede lane, he wins mid instead. That's what we've learned.
Yeah, and it's just like a dangerous position for them to be in, you know? Now, Skimmy, anything to say on that before we move the conversation forward?
Yeah, that's what was really interesting was that both teams, the top damage share was actually from their top lanes. So Lived and TN both doing that one. Obviously, you're going to say that Peace as a whole, a much more well-balanced system, much like the same as you could say for Chiefs, where anybody on their day can carry the game. But I just thought it was interesting to see that, you know, both these top laners do have a very similar style of how they want to approach it. They can play the carries. Give them a chance to try and carry, though. You know, they can absolutely take it.
I'm sure they will. Now, someone else that's pretty damn interesting is Kitty. So let's bring her back into the conversation. Kitty, did you have a good weekend? How you feeling today?
Hello everyone, happy Valentine's Day. Hope you guys are enjoying it just as much as me, working on Valentine's Day. But someone else who I know will enjoy tonight is Lived. So let's bring Lived into the conversation. Hello Lived, welcome to Super Week. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, do prefer the normal weeks, but you know, Super Week's pretty good too. So all the games should be pretty good this week.
I mean, you guys are going into the second round robin of games. What are the team working on and what are the team goals?
I mean, definitely we want to improve our communication a lot. I think we're still pretty new and we haven't played that much together yet. So I think once we improve communication and the way we just work together and we have an identity, I think it'll be like a huge step forward in our team, and I think we'll actually like be a bit of a threat on the Rift.
And something I've picked up is that you guys actually have 4 players who were competing in playoffs last year. What are you guys doing to remedy that?
I mean, I think it's so we have a role swap support, so we're still like he's still learning the role. We have a rookie AD carry. I think it's a bit hard to like look towards like the places that won this season. I think we're mainly working towards like split 2 playoffs. I think Worlds is like the ultimate goal. I think MSI is like nice, it'd be like nice to get there, but I think like split 2 would be like that's like the real goal.
Well, sorry, I just had a hiccup, but I hope that does, so awkward. It's okay, but hopefully you guys do make it to Worlds in the end. I prepared a special Valentine's segment where I ask one player one question that is related to Valentine's Day. So, Lived, if you could duo with anyone in the world, who would it be?
In the world?
In the world.
Oh god, in the world. I mean, that's a Faker. I mean, it's got to be Faker, right? I mean, that's just like
Faker?
That would be like, yeah, that'd be the best. Like, literally, I've been like, I don't know. He's like, I'm a huge fanboy of Faker when I used to play mid. So I mean, that'd just be a dream come true. I didn't get to meet Faker at Worlds when I went, so I'm very disappointed about that. So I need to be able to play with him.
Aww. Well, hopefully you guys get to meet again at Worlds this year again, and thank you for your interview. Hope you enjoy Valentine's Day and good luck in your match, Liv.
Awesome, thank you very much.
I am very, very sad for him. The fact that they were both in the same vicinity, but, you know, because of how the world is, just never managed to bump into him. So you got to feel for him, and hopefully one day they will be reunited. Now, we've got to talk about the predictions. We've got to talk about which way we think this game is going. And, of course, I am going different to all you guys, because screw you, Peace. I think today's the day.
Wow. That's a bold statement to kick that one off back.
10%
also,
chance.
I didn't realize that I'm only 2 games behind. I got so many in a row wrong. There was one day where I got all 4 wrong, and somehow I'm only 2 behind. It's crazy.
Last week was nuts. Like, Skimmy, who had this lead, went for a couple of random picks. They didn't work, or the games where it was really close, like me and Skimmy might have gone like auto when you guys went PGG or something like that. And then he went back behind. Kitty the same. Could have had a chance to jump ahead. Didn't quite happen. Anyone else want to say their piece here? Skimmy, why did you throw the lead?
Yeah, well, sometimes, you know, Mac, you got to take a risk in life. And, you know, much like cryptocurrency, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. So, you know, I've come back here and I said, you know what? We're all in. We're investing. We're straight to the moon. I love Kanga. I've been their biggest fan multiple times, but up against the beast that is Peace.
Yeah.
Bit too much of a mountain to climb, really.
Okay. Well, I'm back on my boy only. Kitty, any reason why you've gone for Peace? Just favourites, or you just don't believe in the Kanga supremacy?
We do believe in Buffy the Kangaroo, but they are going up against a dragon tonight. And, you know, kangaroo versus dragon, who wins? What do you think, Mac?
The kangaroo is way more jacked. What do you mean?
Fair enough, fair enough. That's why you went with Kanga.
And only one of them are real, by the way. Dragons aren't real, okay? I'm sorry, everyone out there that thinks they are. They're not. Now, of course, we've got to talk about this. Are we going to see any of these new changes? You know, new patch, a couple of the changes there. Any champs that we should be expecting to come in? You know, internationally, there's been a little bit of a change up in the meta, but, you know, how is this affecting going into the new patch?
Definitely Bruce's top side. I would be very surprised if Changi didn't say game one. It's the Ari show. Only a handful of players in this region that will play it. Obviously, Changi's right up there. I know that Kyosei even has his own Ari skin tier list. That's how big of a fan that he is. So it's definitely a consideration for a few mid laners to say it's time to showcase what it can do.
Okay, what about you, Kitty? You didn't get to say too much in the patch segment earlier because you weren't on the desk, but do you have anything you want to talk about before we jump on into the first game?
Changi, please pick Ari. I want to see how it does in LCO, please. It's my word to you.
Okay. Is Changi a Ari god or what?
Changi was an Ari Yasuo one-trick before he became pro, so I'm expecting him to be very hyped for these changes.
Okay, so nice little bit of insight. Rusty, anything to touch on?
I'm actually more upset that AD and support hasn't changed at all. Zeri Yumi got added and that's it. Like you look at AD's match histories, it's just like a million Aphelios Jinx games only.
Yeah,
if you're lucky, you mix it up with a Jhin. Because Zeri's always banned and Caitlyn's always banned. So I just want more diversity down there. Like Senna Tahm Kench playing a starving Senna. Give me something like that, you know? There's definitely options. Play Ziggs for diffusal lanes. Give me something.
Well, look, I'm going to go put a Jhin in the mix myself while I go watch the game because, of course, Champ Select's ready. So let's jump on into it. Game number 1 of Week 4 coming up now.
Only 6 PM, Mac. He's already on the Jhin. Let's see what happens there when we return back from this game. Look, I'm keen. We're in Week 4. It's a Super Week. We've got Super Week after another Super Week. And we're starting things off. We're going to serenade you on this Valentine's Day with some great League of Legends down under. Let's see what that champ select is. I see a box flashing. I'm excited to get into this game. I feel like Rusty, for sure, Ari has to be a consideration. But I'm just double downing on this top lane for sure. Give me the top laners. Give me those Fioros, the Irelias, the Trinimirs, whatever it is. I just want to see them have an absolute brawl-off.
There we go. Yeah, no, you're right. I want to see the Brawlers top lane. I want to see the Juggernauts, you know, the Bruisers having a big biff in top lane. But let's not hold our shock for a moment that Jinx is going to be locked in. Senna was banned, though. So at least one of the things that I spoke about is not going to exist through the ban phase, but it will exist. Just looking at what the response will be here, however. Lulu banned, Nautilus picked is not something that's logical to me at all. However, that's what they've chosen to do. And then, you know what? Kitty got her wish straight out of the gates.
Yep, there it is. And we've learned really anything from Chung in the last few weeks, right? He's been very keen to experiment. I think only one game really has been found on the likes of these Malzahars, these Vegas. We did have the AP Cog in the mid lane last week too. So there's the Ari as well. He's looking to try and change things up here. The Tahm Kench is now being hovered. So if that were to be the case and playing it in bot lane, obviously you're not going to have a starving Jinx. That would be crazy. But it would give you a guaranteed protect the chain angle.
Yeah, it's funny because often you can't blind Tahm Kench, Skimmy. I think that's really important to highlight. Because if you pick Tahm Kench and I go Rel, all I have to do is press Q and I pop your shield, right?
Sure.
So Tahm Kench becomes really impossible to play. The shield you get to the AD if you hold your Q properly, Rel wins. So not going to be seen is that with the Nautilus first pick on Kanga's side. This is why I think picking an AD is usually just a better choice at first pick in a draft phase. Because like if that was an AD, if that was, I don't know, an Aphelios, because Aphelios is really good right now, you could hide your support. Tahm Kench may not be as free a pick as it was for Peace's side, but they're able to pick the Tahm Kench Jinx combo, which, you know, gives a fair bit of individual peel for the Jinx by itself. We know that Chaeyoung is a fantastic player, and so even though you might be playing for top side, you have to be careful with how you weak side your bottom lane.
For sure, and that's the big question right now is we'll be hoping that Limus and Lino can find some form of fighting spirit in that bot lane right now. Have had life a little bit rough so far, and a lot of that has been found in the draft. Just lock those champions in, do what you can, or we'll try and find success elsewhere. But Only's going to run things back here with his coveted Diego, one of those carry-style champions when given a chance. As we opt into the second banning phase, and surprisingly enough, 12.3 patch buff to Quinn is enough to actually warrant a ban.
Yeah, certain players do like the Quinn though, right? So Lived is definitely someone who I think could play it. So we just have to keep that in mind. Akali also a targeted ban away from both Appy and TN. Being on the blue side here, they are going to get one pick as a counter, right? They see the Ahri. So that could be a case of just mid bans from Kanga of necessity, and you can see the LeBlanc now going to follow through. The question does remain on what piece choose to play into the Ahri. It could just be a Victor, right? Like a stable mid lane choice that Ahri just goes fairly evenly with. And then you play your front-to-back 5v5s with a Victor standing in front of a Jinx, Lee Sin and Tahm Kench protecting both. Very straightforward stuff. And if this is just an Aphelios locked in, I can't help but question the Nautilus in the first place, or yet again, because that could have just been an Aphelios.
Yeah, for the points you all mentioned, right? Because it's obviously allowed Peace to lock in their champions so
There we
easily.
go.
There it is, it's starting to happen. I am so glad to see it. It's been a long time since TN showcased us this Riven. We've seen multiple variations over the years. One that stands out for me was the full crit strike build that he played in the OPL many years ago. And I thought, okay, he's really trying to showcase what these AD carries can or maybe cannot do. And this, if it's going to get confirmed, would be the first Sylas game. And he's certainly got a lot of good options to steal.
Sylas loves the Ahri matchup for the purpose of becoming Ahri, right? Steal the ult, go to a side lane, you have 7 dashes. Ahri gets 3 with a reset, but you have your E, you have your W. Like, Sylas enjoys that. And if they were to pick something that hard counters top lane, which, I don't know what that would be right now, but if they did, you've got a flexible mid laner that can play top lane as well with the Sylas. So, looking forward to seeing how this one pans out for Kanga's side. If it is just going to be the Graves into the Riven, at least it is a ranged champion, and it makes things a little bit harder for TN.
Certainly will do. Wondered if we'd ever get an angle of, a blind Gragas, perhaps even a Kennen just for the full wombo combo to try and shut down what Peace have put together, but ultimately, Lived is going to keep things toned down for a second. So 2 brand new champions, 1 apiece on either side. Those are the ones we are most excited for, but obviously cannot forget the Sylas in the mix of things too. So obviously Peace feeling pretty content, you had to imagine. Feels stylistically the way they want to go right now. Is there a draft that you're leaning towards?
I think, first of all, I think we should celebrate the fact that our one tricks and champion enthusiasts just straight up lock them in on the patches that they got buffed, right? So that's something that skews the draft and our opinions of it because they're not standardized champions. So on the side of Kanga, having an Ahri, having a Nautilus, also having the Gravitum and the potential of a Viego from flanks means that they have a pretty good pick. Their team fighting can operate in a front-to-back manner, but it's not going to be as good as Peace if they did the same thing. So if it's skate, like we get to late game, what I'm looking at first of all is that there's not a lot of range in general on Peace's side. So if they get ahead, they can be pretty dangerous, but if they fall behind, there's high risk on every maneuver that they make. Early leads for Kanga could be a big deal here, but Kanga with the pick, with the potential to make that happen. Tahm Kench Lee Sin with the exact opposite, right? Able to make plays or kick away. So I'm very excited to see how the early game plays out. And one thing, Skimmy, most people look at Tahm Kench and they think of the old Tahm Kench. The one that just saves their carry. The new TK is aggressive. Like, you don't often say you're seeing a Tahm Kench solo kill in lane, but this TK, it's possible.
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Aggressive.
Very strong, lots of sustain, and I think especially after the ult buff, especially for the ally changes too, you certainly should have no options as to, do you want to be aggressive, and do you want to be aggressive and also have that defensive tactic stored away to prevent your crazy AD carry doing phenomenal dives underneath that turret. Here we go though, loading into the game for week 4, the very first Super Week here for 2022 of the LCO, and it's time for us to close out what will be the first round robin. Let's check in with one of our coaches once again, and welcome back Coach Drac to the show. Happy Valentine's, mate. How you feeling?
Pretty good, thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
That's the way, that's the way. Here we are, playing some League of Legends. No better place to be, am I right? What a date, what a time to be alive. I have to ask, right, first Super Week for you and the boys. How's it been preparing for what will be a much busier schedule?
Yeah, for us, I mean, obviously the preparation is the same, albeit just really condensed compared to previous weeks. So while there's like an additional game and opponent this week, it's just another opportunity to try to put what we've been working on into practice, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose on the desk, we've been discussing a few plays in particular that might benefit from this new patch. We can see it with Chungy with the Ari.
Yeah.
How have you been finding the new patch?
It's a wild west at the moment, actually, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of picks that have come online all at once compared to previous weeks, whereas center has dropped off in priority as well. So it was a big shake-up this week, and obviously, as you said, we've got an Ari player, so we're giving him the best chance we can this week.
Yeah, run it back like we spoke last time. I'm talking about comfort and, just enjoy the game. Have fun out there on the stage games. Hey, Drake, wish you boys the best of luck. It's going to be a busy few next weeks, and hopefully you can pick up a few wins along the way. Already into it, aren't we? Look at these two, just absolutely level 1. How are you? Tien going to be popping that potion ASAP. Actually used them all so far, so down to just a Doran shield.
Yeah, Tien starting with the D shield 1 pot compared to Lived, who has 3 potions with a long sword, is also running exhaust. So you have to keep that in mind when you're seeing these trades happen. Tien with the standard teleport. The same thing can actually be said about mid lane Skimmy, where Chungy's gone for the ignite and it is the teleport. Is it bot lane? Very aggressive.
Yeah, much to your point, isn't it, right there? Very aggressive level 2 Abyssal dive in, hit the tongue, and zone away the Nautilus. I suppose whilst we do have a bit of a lull moment to take stock check of the wing cons and map states and all the rest, how do you feel like Kanga's game plan is going to be affected now? They have no teleport at all.
Yeah, I think that ultimately it's now reliant on them playing for objectives, right? Oftentimes not having the teleport means you can be very behind the play when it comes to objective setups, and you have to bring everybody. So if you're winning lanes, it won't be as big a deal. If you're losing lanes, it's crippling. So there's definitely some considerations to be made there. Right now, though, you would expect the lanes to start off fairly positively for the Ari for the Graves, not just because of the summoners, but the ranged into melee matchups. And with level breakpoints for both a Riven and a Silas, they do start passively. This is something that also, as you're kind of seeing, opens the gates for Only to make plays, and he's now moving towards the top side, but it wasn't an invade. It's actually just a Scuttle Crab. So questions can be drawn on, like, maybe it was worthwhile to actually invade if you know that both solo lanes have easy prio that they can force, but not to be seen this time around.
The case, I suppose the biggest question then for me would be, what does this game look like post 15 minutes? As to sort of how the laning phase has gone, what's the level discrepancy, what item advantages can be found, and what have we actually found on the map in terms of those crucial objectives? As it stands, Kanga have been one of the lowest teams in picking up those plates, but haven't been too shy when it's come to looking to lock in those Heralds and Drakes, and no doubt, as you said, for Only, who will have run-of-the-mill to go anywhere with those combat summoners to try and find those early kills. Should be an exciting time to be Viego.
And it's not a case of like a meatball composition or anything, right? It's not just a front to back 5v5 angle for either team. Realistically, there is nothing to help Limas when it comes to team fighting as well if they dive onto him. Nautilus is your only peel, so a safe Nautilus is probably the only play style that Kanga can play here. And if it is just the suicide engage angles for Lionel, that just kind of is a case of necessity, right? So looking at Kanga's comp overall, you would say that Nautilus is the primary teamfight engage, right?
Yeah. If
he is doing that, then Limas probably dies from a flank. So you just have to keep that in mind and how these fights are engaged and executed past that, 15-minute building into teamfight moment. For Peace's side, Beats should be enough. Is this the first time Beats isn't an enchanter as well?
No, well, it's actually a funny thing you mentioned, because he played the first 5 games either as Lulu or Lux, and last week against Gravitas he said, you know what, it's Nautilus time. So
oh, he did get a Nord in, yeah.
He's said, as much as I'm loving my KDA stats on these enchanters, it's time to get my hands dirty.
Yeah, it might ruin that KDA real quick. Still looked good on it. We also know Beats for playing those engaged champs, so that's why it was such a surprise for us. Lisa also has been spotted here, is down a level, Only with a shot.
Going to hit level 5 very shortly, but Only is still working his way towards him. The pings are out. There's a trade topside as well, but now Only into the shadows, and out he comes. Stun connects, Conqueror stacked, looking for the kill. Appy has to peel away. A smite gets used just to try and buy a little bit of time and HP. They both disengage away.
Yeah, the choice of using the smite there was a curious one for me. It seems like there's no other camp available for Lisa, so it was about having the health and staying on the map. Given that he's got, a minute till Scuttle, a minute till red buff, and the enemy blue buff spawning at the same time. He's actually going to move straight over to the Drake. So perhaps seeing the Viego top side, acknowledging that he's weak, this is purely a sneak, right? You know that Viego is just going to reset to his top side camp or reset to the camps that are spawning for him. So it's a cute play, but he doesn't have smite because he used it at the Wolves.
I'm going to say he needs help. There's no way that's falling down with the HP it was at. Lionel's working his way into it now, but a mid lane 1v1 is taking place, and Chungy on that pocket pick gets first bloods.
You know, maybe forcing a ward hop or a flash there. It is just going to be the ward hop, but fantastic first blood mid. I mean, that's what you want, right? That's the ignite advantage in mid. That's the isolated lane as well. And that is the effectively just 1v1 solo kill that comes as a result of only having jungle pressure and having a strong side on the map to play towards, and Chungy being able to play with reckless abandon as a result of having winning lanes. It's amazing the difference this makes for Kanga, Skimmy. When their top side is winning, they're good enough players to make plays.
Certainly are, and as you can see, a 20 CS lead, he's absolutely bullying Appy at this very early stage into the game. A much needed kill. Got the Dark Seal as well, so some stacks are starting to work their way up, and you have to imagine, will that snowball out of control? What can he find as the game continues? Now Lived continuing to abuse the fact that he is a ranged matchup, keeping Tien at bay, forcing him back to base.
Those resets are going to result in the second camp. Skimmy, the reason that's important is level 6 is just around the corner. And with level 6, you would expect champions like the Lee Sin to really come into the mix. Viego gets a lot more kill threat, and a lot more staying power in those trades as well. And if Chungy's already winning, then definitely he's got a couple of places to look towards. I would like to see them use Chungy, though, to play towards the Herald and the top side of the map. I think that would be my preferred course of action.
I'm also curious which mythic he picks up this game, right? Whether it's going to be the Ludens or the Everfrost. Guarantee the combo, which just get a little bit more burst online.
Actually, that's a good point. Charm Connect. So looking at Ahri, one of the biggest things that changed about her is that she got more damage in almost every ability, right? They removed the damage amplification from hitting the charm. That means you don't need Everfrost. Because before, you kind of had to have Everfrost to guarantee the charm. That way you would still do relevant damage. It could genuinely be anything, which I think is the coolest part about it, right? So if you're the sole magic damage on a team, which he is in this case, it could actually be a Luden's angle.
Would be quite
is
nice.
what I would like.
Yeah, lots of stacking magic penetration for the one-shots that you just love to see when the Spirit Fire is active and you're just dashing all over the map, hunting down the essence of those champions. Big rotate here from Kanga, as they've got 4 members in the area to claim this Herald. Now, Peace are working their way into this. It's going to take a bit of time for them to try and assert numbers advantages, but Peace have pulled themselves out here. So much so that Beats is forced to flash away. The rocket comes out from Jinx. The Herald is actually going to get stolen away, but the fight's going to break on out. The Herald will not be picked up because they chased him in towards the jungle. And Kanga had to feel so hard done by that play.
Yeah, they just staunched them out. It's funny because we were just speaking about the fact that using the Ahri to play towards a strong side is a viable play. But Peace just walk in and take it. It's clear that they didn't actually want to fight their Kanga and they were looking for just the free objective, and perhaps the contest surprised them. Because that's a moment where you could actually consider drawing the line in the sand, right? Saying this is where we fight. And they started with a hook themselves. So I think, you know, a big Jinx ultimate, a couple of deterrents might have spooked Kanga out of actually wanting that fight in the first place.
Yeah, I think also worth bearing in mind, I should say, that Lemus was getting plates down bot side, picked up 2. Now Lisa goes for the kick, the exhaust is already used. Going for the 2v2 top side, Tien, 1 HP, gets away. Only claims his soul, and both the junglers claim those kills. So the top lane is out of the equation. The Heartbreaker to try and gain some ground, sidesteps out that stun animation, just a little bit too slow.
Chungy's ulted.
When he's that far away. Chungy with the flash dash, but only picks up a double kill.
Chungy at least got some kill involvement there, I think, which is important given that he flashed and ulted to get into the mix. We'll still have the ult to get back to lane with short order anyway, but it does mean that Silas has a bit of free time. Looking at what happens top again, remember the exhaust, right, versus the teleport. The timing on that exhaust was just optimal. It was a flash kick that got almost completely negated for its damage output. Only is able to get the kill, so the trade timing is even. And that is with Peace having the nice counter play. And then Chungy, this is sick, just for the distance he covers in such a short amount of time. It's a big flash ult combo. I think I would have liked, given that he's committing a flash to that you just give it to him, to be honest.
Hullbreaker rush. First item, it's completed here for Liv. Now, I've seen a bit of discussion around this one, sort of how it feels necessary then for the other top laner to match it, but I just don't feel like Tien is going to want to go down that avenue.
Listen, Hullbreaker is broken. And that's all there is to it. Hullbreaker Rush feels disgusting. Every champion can do it. So for anyone who doesn't know exactly what Hullbreaker does, because not many people play top lane, I feel you, I'm right there with you. You gain armor and magic resistance when you're alone, and bonus damage to structures. So besides the stats of the item itself, which is health and AD, and health regen, it's just a top lane item through and through, right? At the moment, every champion is rushing it, and if they have it, you just have to accept that you can't kill them anymore in lane, which feels terrible, because they're just too tanky when they're by themselves. It does kind of force them, though, into a second item staying in a split push if possible. However, the base stats of the items are just so insane that it still kind of works. Just not going to be as efficient as Mythic would be. But like you said, Skimmy, it could be a case of you have to build it to match it, which is certainly possible.
It's one of those moments, right, where you enjoy the theory crafting that goes behind the scenes for coaching and players and all the rest of it in terms of the meta as such, because there's not been a recent change towards this item, but it just seems now that players have said, yeah, this is a broken item, it's going to work wonders. Before that, what we were seeing at maybe it's like a third, even a fourth item for a lot of these split pushing champions.
It's been a change to top lane, right? So most of the split pushers would actually get it first or second still. It's just that was a solo queue thing and never really in competitive. It's so good now, especially with the changes to teleport, because people aren't coming back to their lanes all the time, and extra lane staying power. I mean, it's exactly what it provides, right?
Of course. That's what they'll be hoping to find with this one. And it's definitely Graves is going to be a keen character to find himself in those 1v1s. Kanga putting in a lot of work here with the amount of plates they've been able to pick up here. Every single time I've gone bot side, it says Lima's on his own, getting solo experience, picking up all this gold. And yes, the CS is the same. But that will now be a lane swap, as Tien's going to make his life a little bit harder.
Yeah, so the map's been swapped. It could honestly flip back after one more wave. It depends on how Peace want to play this one. You've got Jinx currently set up in mid lane with Mythics purchased. Top lane's already been taken, so we can talk about the plates bottom for sure, but note that a Herald secured an entire tower topside in one wave push. So it is still really good for Peace overall. I think that the real big thing here actually is that Kanga are actually ahead, and I think this might just be funny stats, but they have never lost a game when ahead at 15 minutes, Skinny. They've only won one game when ahead at 15 minutes, and only have one win. But when they're ahead at 15 minutes, they've never lost.
Those are the kind of stats we need you here for.
And Peace haven't lost.
It's true. What does it mean when these two huge stats come together and collide? Well, Kanga will be hoping that they can find out with a victory screen on theirs to receive. Double Kraken Slate also worth mentioning. Both the AD carries have gone full glass cannon. No Gale Force here today. They just want to output mass damage and hope that they can do enough before the fight sways either way. Tien going in for what could be the all-in right now. The sword is active. A lot of damage. Good flash there from Liv as the kick will do nothing. A turret shot goes down to Lisa, who just juggles out of range. Liv buying time with the armor. Is the passive enough? It's not enough. Devour is just OP.
Yeah, just too many members there, but you can see how tanky Lived is with the single item and the plated steel caps as well to boot. It does require 3 people. 2 was going to be a trade, you would have to guess, right? That's how long it took to actually take him down, but the result is still the same. The play is successful as you want it to be. Mid lane, however, this is a huge win for the side of Kanga.
Certainly is. Lima's actually even going to give them a reminder to walk away and say that this wave, it's mine, there's no need to contest it. It's been a bit of a quiet game in terms of skirmishing. Yes, we got 5 kills at the first 15 minutes, but it has been a big emphasis on claiming structures and getting all these plates, and as you can see right now, a lot more fragile.
Top lane, nice charm's going to connect here as well. You can see Kanga actually.
Oh, Chungy's going for it. Oh no, Chungy, don't die to the turret, please. So low.
Alright, I mean, it's the Ignite angle. This is the Ahri player, man. The Ahri one trick gets his champion. Look at the difference it makes for Kanga across the map. 2,000 gold ahead right now. He did go for the Loot and Sork shoes, so it's the build that we wanted to see from him. Max damage output, and he is putting out some serious damage. And Appy is feeling the punishment right now for picking this matchup. Less so for winning the 1v1, but that Ignite gap, pretty significant for the laning phase in the first place. The thing that we needed to talk about, Skimmy, as well, the trade-off that happened is not only was it a kill bot lane, it was the bot out of turret. But Kanga in response get the mid outer and the top outer. They also get a kill that Chungi basically gets another one solo. And so across the map, they are pulling ahead.
They certainly are, and you know, I am once again just looking at that mid and jungle in particular is finding huge leads. The only 2 bounties in the game so far. Items complete, power is there for them to run around the map and dictate the pace of this game, but I guess stock check at 15 minutes. Are we happy with the 2K lead that they have?
I mean, overall, you should be stoked if you're a Kanga fan with where they're at in this game right now. Peace, the best team in the league. Kanga with a 2,000 gold lead in all the right places. The topside team with a lead in the top sides. Limas looking comfortable across the map as well. Lionel's the only person we haven't really seen anything from yet. That's not to say he's not doing anything, but we just haven't seen anything. This objective, the question about do we fight for this one if you're Peace, I think they've finally acknowledged, Skimmy, that they are behind. Yeah. It's not significant, right? It is only 2,000, 17 minutes in. But it's significant enough that you're going to see Appy just side lane bandit. Chaeyeon is really the point of strength for them, and he's matched overall by Limas. So they are just conceding everything that they need to. Just going to try and trade as they have to, and try and get to a point in items where they might be comfortable fighting again. It could be 2 items for the Riven, if that's a Death's Dance second. You know, getting those resets, working with Triumph, it's a really disgusting combo to get all your health back with Core Drinker champs.
Pretty gross. Definitely gives you a lot of staying power and makes some of those dives just seem unfair, quite honestly, when the runes and items come into play. Did go top side, and Liv will not be bullied out that easily. Not 1v1, especially with the itemization he's got right now. Looks like he's actually rushing the Grievous Wounds as well. Just wants to be an absolute demon in that side lane. If anybody that pops their head in there. It'd be quite nice, actually, I guess. Double Core Drinker.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, it's a respectable Jinx ult attempt to steal that red buff away. Just got very distracted by that one.
I don't blame you.
And you know what? Looking at junglers, Only is stupidly far ahead. So, like, it's not just the 2-0, it's the 50 jungle CS lead that he has as well. And the thing is, right, if this is just a side lane goblin that you're going to see from Liv, Only playing towards that is probably a winning 2v2. Just because of the jungle difference in strength. Even though the Hull Breaker deactivates. I don't think they'll play towards it, but it's certainly possible. Mid-jungle moving together is the scariest thing in League of Legends right now, an Ahri and a Viego. And they're the ones that are so far ahead of their respective opponents that kind of makes the game for Kanga at this point onwards, right? Wherever the Ahri goes, you should have a Nautilus and you should have a Viego protecting that side of the map, clearing their camps, and setting up for plays there. So, Baron in a minute. No need to be bot side for the next 3. Ahri goes top lane. You'll probably see Lionel work with Only as he's parking from bot to top to protect.
Yeah, I suppose now is a good time to start wondering how we can extract that value out of these unleashed teleports. Peace have 2 to their name. How can they look to try and set up the map in a place that they can just reclaim objectives if it were to be Kanga forcing it with those summoner advantages, with those combat summoners more so than anything to say, we've got an exhaust, we've got an ignite, that might just be what we need to keep the lead on our hands. Tian Lisa certainly can, or even Appy, sorry, can certainly be very keen to hit those side lanes as we see right now, but they'll be hoping that they can find that ideal minion wave stack to find an advantage to turn this game around in their favor.
Still a pretty slow game overall for objectives, right? Because it is 1-2 in Drakes. There's going to be a bit of extra time purchase. Now just staunching and being aggressive on the top side of the map makes sense, again, playing to their strengths. And Liv is just going to hang in and survive. Lisa did snipe that one away just quietly. Nice. That's really what this comes down to, right? I mean, ultimately, having Chaeyeon even show up here is because mid's unsafe. That's the only reason he's there. Otherwise, he'd just be farming the mid wave. They just want to chill out, you know, get 2 items, get 3 items for the Jinx, realistically. And try and win that 5v5.
Yeah, has opted for the RFC second item, just wants all that range. Make sure that the presence of mine is there, the rocket launcher is online, and he's just hitting you from a million miles away, safe, protected. And getting excited as I was there for a second as Lionel's dredge line nearly connects and counts as the animation of a retreating Tahm Kench, but they are playing defense right now for Peace.
So I guess at this point what we should realistically be doing is looking at what Kanga do next to try and win the game, right? Because this is not a position they've often found themselves in, at least on stage. Lisa's just being a bandit, constantly playing towards top side. For me, it is probably Baron. They're ranged into a lot of melee champions, so Baron buff should make sieging really easy. The cannons won't get touched, right? So towers would start to just fall with Kanga simply existing on the map. And with a minute 20 to what would only be the third Drake of the game, it's an important Drake, so they will put resources towards it. I still think the fight, like where you draw the line as Kanga, is probably the Baron after the Drake.
Does seem like a fine balance of, you know, what spikes work for us versus them, because I suppose we return to the point of Riven. You know, you want that Death Dance complete, you got those 2 items, and then Bob's your uncle. You can pretty much do whatever you like from that point onwards. You're feeling incredibly strong in the mid game with those 2 towards your name. Lisa as well, no doubt. Zonya's not too far away there from Appy. Doesn't even have a stopwatch just yet, so can't completely cycle through those cooldowns and buy ultimate time. So, as you say, next Drake will be up. It would then put Kanga on a soul point.
You know, the other thing is, because Kanga are ahead, they don't have teleports. So I think it's really important to just constantly keep that in mind. No teleport on Chungi means they can't play for like a 1-3-1 or even like a 2-3 setup with Chungi playing towards Liv. It does mean that they have to be set up in the areas that they want to be, because objectives can kind of get snuck away or fall for free if you're not careful. So for example, Liv is sitting top against Appy right now. Appy's going to push this wave, probably reset, recall, and then he's going to be able to teleport to the objective at the Drake. Liv, if he wants to stay for one more wave, just can't help. So they want to make sure the timing, like as you're seeing right now, is correct. And I think it's also clear that Peace won't contest this. This is just an example of it. Where Liv isn't needed, or if he is needed, he gets there early.
Third Drake now picked up here for Kanga Esports. 5 minutes could be crucial for finding that next step of power that they so desperately need to continue the snowball that they found in all the right places for their key carries. Yes, it is the whole break-in. Yes, it's farming up those waves like you would not believe. But it does get a chance to group up with the rest of the team, and primarily around this point of the map towards the Baron, that's when the fireworks might start to come out from Peace and Retaliation.
This is the place that we said the fight may happen if it was to happen at all. Chaeyon, 2.5 items, working towards that Lord Dominic's. Not a crazy amount of resistances on the other side, but just a super efficient item. Has been farming up a Storm. And if anyone on the team can carry Skimmy, I mean, all eyes go to Chaeyon every single time. He has been an absolute monster, but you cannot forget the montage potential of a Riven in a team fight. It's the Black Cleaver purchase as well. The more damage, more armor penetration, less Triumph resets on those kills. Baron has been started, it's been spotted as well.
Yep, they won't have entrance on the HP, but they know that Kanga are in the area. The Baron is down to 50% right now. Piece of biding their time, and TP's going to come in. Is it late? Who knows? Kanga are actually just going to completely disengage away. They'll say, we'll take that 1 TP. That's 1 less lane for us to have to worry about.
Yeah, Lisa's on a flank, so they were definitely a little bit afraid. And the teleport from TM goes towards the same side of the map. The full disengage after 1 teleport does still mean, like, yes, you get 1 of them, that's nice, but Appy still exists, right, and still looking for the side lane. And you've reset to the point where now this is a possibility. It may not be the full turret, or it's a bit much.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure on towards Liv. He's in so much trouble. Has to flash away there from the Super Mega Death Rocket. Lima's in trouble now. Flashing also. Tien has gone in 1v5 like a solo queue game. Gonna come crumbling down. Can't find a reset and can't find a kill.
That was really aggressive from Peace, and the timing just was too slow, right? If you're going to dive that mid-outer when they're defending, you don't stay top. You look to make the play straight away while they're resetting, but they'll get back to wave just in time to make sure it is a trade, it is a 1-for-1. I like the idea from Peace. At the end of the day, Kanga, they did just get that reset off, you would say, fairly successfully now in contrast. We'll see this dive one more time. Remember, Liv doesn't have the Hull Breaker buff, so it doesn't have extra resistances. Flashes here as well. And you can see that's potentially 2 kills, right? If they don't have all of the reinforcements just sitting here waiting for that play to happen. But Only's right there. Kanga comes in with the ult, and Lionel just waiting in the wings. It's a bait in the end.
Yeah, ultimately it is. I suppose if you are looking to see what was achieved, you burnt double summoners on the AD carry and Aphelios, double on the Graves too, so there's no exhaust, but you are still looking at Chungi with Ignite. So There was a world in which perhaps Tien could have found that. He queued up charge Q3 with the flash to try and lock him in place, but yeah, just the pesky flash away. And the one shot get in, get out was really removed from the equation quite early.
So a couple of things here that are going to be super important, Skimmy. No flash on the Riven, no flash on the Aphelios. Aphelios is the one that is probably the least protected of both ADCs, as we spoke about during draft. So if a couple of members get onto him, if the flanks are good from Peace, then Limas is going to be in very hot water and having to outplay and just mechanics max his life out. Chaeyoung should be protected much more so. Chaeyoung also does finish that third item. He's going to be quite a large AD.
Oh, okay, Lisa.
He's a bit of a pest, isn't he?
He knows how to hit his buttons, to tell you that much. He's got the smite bound to an art form. It's making it very hard for Kanga to sustain this gold lead, which they do still have. They are still at 27-minute mark, up by 3,000 gold. But you can feel the tension as to what is the next move, and are Peace just happy to play with the timer, get the items,
I don't
and
think
just
they
utilize
are,
their teamfight
Skimmy.
mechanics?
I don't think you can be the flash in.
Oh no, oh no. The charm, as you say, it's just gone. Lights out for Beats.
Beats no flash before. Chungi knew that as well, so the confidence from the Ari to go in, hit that charm. Well played from the side of Kanga. I don't think Peace are happy to let the time fizzle down, but I think they're exceptionally upset with the way this dragon has set up. Infernal Soul in 10 seconds. No Tahm Kench, no support for Chaeyoung.
Oh no, they've nearly found a second. Aki's gone gold and the zone use is there. The flash away to deny that Moonlight Vigil was quite nice.
They've got the
necessary. Soul's theirs.
Yeah, look, you may survive if you're Appy. That might stop a Baron. It doesn't stop the Soul from going down, so that is Infernal Soul to the way of Kanga.
The Death Bush. Is that what they're setting up as they cross map?
Not anymore.
Right, Vision denies it. Looks like actually go for a full reset here on the side of Kanga as Peace wait for the respawns. Have to plant all their vision towards the top half of this map. Continuing to look at his top wave as well. It's just always knocking on the front door of that top lane and Heb.
Yeah, this is something that you might see a fair bit of through the rest of this game. Even if it is a Kanga victory, the side lane control is going to be almost impossible for them to deal with. Double teleports now available again. Unleash teleports, pretty low cooldowns. Side lanes is the way that Peace control this game. Control the flow of the side lane, come together into the mid lane. If Kanga don't respond to the side waves, then they're just losing money, right? That's kind of the way that you protract this game out, that you draw it out. But, you know, the necessity of an Infernal Soul fight, the looming threat of a Baron and an Elder Dragon now as well makes that harder and harder to do.
I guess my new question now is, will Peace want to bide their time with a split push so they can get these flashes back online again, utilize that TP advantage in the late game and sort of navigate away from the power spike of that Infernal Soul?
So right now, it's the moment where Kanga kind of have to do something, Skimmy, right? You've got Riven now crashing on the bot lane in a turret. The pressure from Kanga goes up. They have no teleports to match.
Yeah.
Graves is in the area because he was clearing the top wave. If he stopped the Baron, that's a win. But they've teleported in. They want the fight, maybe.
Appy's got Ari's ultimate. They're going in for this Baron right now. That's being claimed here by Only. Kanga have the Baron. They've got the Infernal Soul. They're going for the team fight right now. Jabal comes out nice and early. Chain with a huge shield, but he's got no mana left. He has to go to minigun form. Has to get closer. Rapid fire cannon is still there. One kill apiece.
Oh.
As Riven gets excited, but Aphelios bites back with a double kill. Limas certainly needed that. He's 3-0-1 now. Lived flashing across the wall as Only joins in hot pursuit. They've got the numbers advantage. They've claimed 4 at the expense of their Nautilus.
I mean, that's a huge win for Kanga. Lisa tries to cue the Krugs. They weren't alive yet, I don't think. So Only's just going to go take them in his face, and Lisa's going to go back to base. 4 members die. Baron is secured from Kanga as well. They are now knocking on the door of their second victory, and yeah, this is a big fight from Limas. So it's a force, right? Lisa tries to get it, then tries to kick the Nautilus into them, but just misses. And now it's free reign to hit. The second you get the turret down here with a blue weapon as well, just the AoE starts to shred through. Switches weapons, hits the green gun, long-range snipe, and is able to find the Jinx, who was running out of mana, like you said, during the fight and kind of got stuck in minigun form. But that's what happens, right? You're pushing bot turret, you're knocking on the door of their base, Kanga are forced to make a play. If you're not ready to answer that play, you suffer.
They're going to suffer pretty big now, as they have actually lost their mid inhibitor as a result of losing that team fight. Chungy's starting to stack up that book. He's upgraded to the Magi's. 9 stacks to his name right now. Double stopwatch found from Only as well as Lemus to protect their bounties. There is 3 huge bounties as those members are flawless right now, and Peace will be looking at the scoreboard. They wish they had God vision like us, obviously, thinking we're down 7k gold, we need some way back into this one. Obviously, split pushing would reward us quite handsomely with taking some of those turrets, but we need to disrupt these members, get those champions down and claim their bounties.
Exactly right. Sooner or later you have to kill them, you know. And you know, no stopwatch for the Ahri has a Magi's with 9 stacks there means that the Ahri is killable. The Kanga making the play themselves.
After they caught Appy out of control once again, he's going to go for very early stopwatch. That's going to deny the ultimate from the Nautilus. Dashes away from the charm, and a helping hand from Beats with Devour. Big ultimate used in the defense of this bot lane wave. Hugely stacked up. 2 cannons inspired by the Baron. And Appy throws the Nautilus Assault right back towards them. How long can they hold this one for? 30 seconds before that Baron buff expires.
It's the cannons that are going to take the turrets. Like we said, very limited range on their champions. Chayon's the only person who can step up, and Ahri could be threatening a charm this entire time, right? Tower's going to break. That's the inhibitor that should just be secured. Tien stuck dealing with mid. This is so good for Kanga.
It's a huge performance right now. Very close to a 10k gold lead at the 32-minute mark. Super's flooding the base from mid. Super's on their way from bot lane. And the Baron buff has now finally expired.
This does mean that Jinx should just be able to freely wave clear the rest of these minions. Unless they get the pick on the Chayon, it is just going to be a disengage angle. However, you've got the Elder Dragon in a minute 10 and a minute to work with before a Baron spawns. So 1 objective to play on the map. And you have so much vision control. Look at Chungy. He doesn't need to reset right now. He has no reason to base. Even if he has 1,300 gold, he'd have to sell a Magi's. Play for picks.
He can just one-shot this Tom Kench. He's level 18. Look at the itemization. Shadow Flame, Magi's, Void Staff, like, you just don't exist.
And Scumbag Lived is just going to snipe that one away. You could see that Chungy was laughing on his screen as well, but it is just that easy, right? Chungy didn't even ult. Next bush. They're going to be vigilant of that one with the control ward in it. Where are they going to go next? Because they have to get to the Drake somehow, don't they?
Yeah, they have no vision control, as you say. It's going to be very hard for them to play for this one. They got caught prior by just trying to make this play bot side. A flash in there. Chungy goes for the 1v1 on towards Jane. He's just dead. He gets the reset. He claims the essence. He takes them all. The GA has been propped here by Lisa. He's got no cavalry coming this time, surrounded by 4 members of hungry, happy kangaroos. And that is now a double kill here for Chungy, as 1 by 1 they go in. Peace are clutching at straws. They're desperate. Appy versus the world right now, going stasis after stasis. Tien in the base, going to try and defend this one as much as he can. But I tell you what, it's the time for Kanga to celebrate, because they get an ace, and they're marching towards the Nexus for the ends.
And it will just be a victory for Kanga. Liv said it in the interview, Skimmy. They're just going to gap them in top, jungle, mid, and bot. And would you believe it? That actually happened.
Well, you said a funny stat before. Whenever Kanga have a gold lead, they always win. And look what's just happened here. They have actually beaten the undefeated team in Peace. One of the games that you would have expected coming into today, that was a foregone conclusion the other way. But credit where credit is due. Phenomenal performance right at the gates here, opening up week 4 for Kanga Esports.
Yeah, huge victory for Kanga. So much to be happy about. And it's amazing for us, right, as viewers, because we just spent the first 4 weeks of the LCO, the first 3 weeks of the LCO saying, where's the real Kanga, right? Like, the potential that they have is so much better than what we've been seeing from them. And this is really the first glimpse of that actual potential coming out. And to me, it was Chungy, it was Only, and it was those two in particular having massive performances. And the difference the whole team had as a result of Chungy and Only is just unbelievable.
Certainly was unbelievable. And I suppose, Mac, you could just boil it down to as simple as this. You know, you win lane, you might in fact just win game, because that's really what it boiled down to, right? Who needs TP when you can just win the laning phase?
Mate, he got very close a couple of times to going down, though. There was at that point where he decided to go for the turret dive and then copped like so many turret shots. Thought he might have gone out of range at one point, but didn't happen. I think it might have been this fight. No, it was a bit later on. Now, this was a bit of a change-up, though. You know, this is when Chungy, we saw him go over, get very aggressive, try to get those stacks, of course, on the runes as early as he could because he had that electrocute. Of course, you want to get those cranking, and crank him he shall. Here's the one I was talking about. He thought he went out of range. Look at the slither of HP, just barely survives that one. But of course, great rotations coming out all damn game. And this just goes to show, on Valentine's Day, a real, true love story can happen. Kanga, they've reunited, they're getting dubs on the board. You better believe it, they saw that someone believed in them. And that was Mac in the predictions. That is what, of course, got them over the line today, boys. Do you like that narrative?
Yeah, look, I was just talking to our producer and saying that wasn't in the script. We didn't expect to see this be the opening game. We're thinking, it looks pretty stacked, one-sided for most of these games, but Kanga come out there and say that, as you say, you know, the Valentine's buff is real. Maybe it was as simple as saying, buff Ari and see what happens.
Well, that's it, right? Look, give Chungy what he wants, and then bit of fun happens, bit of success gets put on the board, and the undefeated team now drops down and is, oh, well, I guess they got that extra win on the board for now. If Chiefs get that win today, that means we've got a tie at the top again. It's all changing. We came into today thinking it was going to be 4 pretty one-sided affairs, but look, it's a great upset to kick off all the fun, and I'm sure all the boys on Kanga there had a bit of fun in the Rift, Rusty.
I mean, they absolutely did. They looked like they were all smiles as well, and it's nice to see after a pretty rough couple of weeks for them, right? To see the actual happiness from their faces and the dubs that they know they're capable of finally shining through.
Well, you know, I know that we're probably going to get to chat to him. Unfortunately, there's probably a grumpy kitty down to do the interviewing, so let's get her back into the conversation. You didn't get that win. I thought you told me dragons beat kangaroos or something. I told you that dragons weren't real. Apparently I was right, kitty.
Well, I'm sorry, fact check, apparently kangaroos do beat dragons, and someone who just beat an undefeated team was Chungy. So let's bring Chungy onto the table. Hello, Chungy.
Hello.
Congrats on grabbing your second win. You just ended Peace's win streak. How's the team feeling, and where do you guys go from here?
Yeah, it was a really good confidence boost, I guess. It does give me like the 2020 Mammoth vibes where I picked Ari against, I think it was Legacy at the time. I don't know if they're undefeated, but like I got that solo kill and then I just felt like I could carry the game. And yeah, that's what happened.
You certainly did carry because you had an amazing performance on the Ari. Tell us about the Ari changes and how you're enjoying her so far.
I don't know, I haven't been playing her recently. Like, she's just always my pocket pick sort of champion, but with the buffs, it really does help like her outer laning, like I guess stats, because her laning got worse, but her outer lane got better. So yeah.
And something I realized was you were playing Ari into Sylas. That is a known counter matchup for Ari. How did you manage to get a solo kill in a losing matchup?
It was more of an outplay, I guess, because I charmed his E, and I had Ignite. So after I landed those, or like after I landed my charm, it was definitely a kill. So it's more of like an outplay than anything, yeah.
Well, Chungy, it's great seeing you smile again. I hope the team's doing great, and congrats on your win again. Thanks for the interview, and have a good Valentine's Day.
Thank you, thank you.
He was so excited. Look, good to see. Big smile on Chungy's dial. And you know what? I've got something else for him as well. We have the player of the game, and I'm not going to take it away from him. It was the big Chung man in mid doing big work. No deaths, perfect game, 6 zip and 5. Looking very good. 68% kill participation. So look, something there probably left to be desired, but no real complaints because everyone on Kanga did their job spectacularly, Skip.
They certainly did. As you say, big confidence boost for the boys. They sorely needed that win after what was a confusing week that just went, right? You thought, it was a foregone conclusion that it should be very strong into likes of Gravitas and Mammoth, and you're starting to think, well, when is it going to click? Well, apparently a new patch, he gets the confidence in that initial first blood, and then after that, he just looked like a ravenous Hydra. He was flashing, he was dashing, he was going for everybody, saying, it's not a kill, it's an assist, give me all the gold in this game, because I want to be the most fed member, which he was.
That seems to be the case. Now, of course, we have some more games to get to, but Rusty, anything you want to say before we wrap up here?
Oh, just don't give the Chungus Ari. I mean, like, if there's anything I was going to take away from that game, he's a bit of a freak on the Ari pick. And we said it for 2 weeks now, right? Leading into this week of LCO. So it was good to see it. It was good to see him pop off with it.
Well, let's see how this one goes. Of course, if you want to see all of the LCO action, make sure you're following Twitter. So jumping over to Twitter, at LCO is where you're going to find it. And tweet with the hashtag LCO as well in your tweets. Make sure also, look, here's just a little masterclass for everyone out there. I'm seeing a lot of people @ing LCO at the start of their tweet. You do that, no one's going to see it, except for LCO. So make sure you put @LCO after you put anything before it. Little full stop, little couple of letters. Look, Twitter masterclass here with Mac. I hope you enjoyed. Now it's time to jump on towards game number 2 for the series for the night. Oh my lord. Just had a brain fart. Fortunately, I've got a break to try to get my brain working properly. But after it, we got Direwolves and Chiefs coming up.
They're going in for this Baron right now. That's being claimed here by Only. Kanga have the Baron. They've got the Infernal Soul. They're going for the team fight right now. Devour comes out nice and early. Chain with a huge shield, but he's got no mana left. He has to go to minigun form. Has to get closer. Rapid fire cannon is still there. 1 kill apiece. Oh. As Riven gets excited, but Aphelios bites back with a double kill. Lima's certainly needed that. He's 3-0-1 now. Lives flashing across the wall as Only joins in hot. Prior by just trying to make